Well, I guess we're online. Richard and I were shooting the shit a little bit and totally spaced the clock. I'm gonna take the lead on
Yeah,
that.
I was busy. I was looking for some timeshare in Gaza. I want to be one of the first guys in.
Oh God damn it!
I hear it's to be pretty rocking place, like the new Club Med.
Oh my God! Yeah, the golf course going in, right?
Yeah, we haven't talked since December. A lot has changed in the world.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, Buttonwillow's about to open their second track, so there's that.
Cool. And hopefully they do something about that wall that's there because we sure like to test there.
Yeah,
The
I
one
mean,
that's on pit exit.
I've been lobbying the racetrack quite a bit for that, so I guess we'll have to stay tuned. I'll make an announcement. Hopefully, if that happens, I'll shoot video of it going down. Maybe they could charge, $20 a swing at the sledgehammer or
At the
something.
wall. Oh, kind of like the Berlin Wall.
Yeah, there you go.
I have a piece of that wall, by the way.
Like, tell Mike, tear down that wall.
Yeah, exactly. We need a Ronald Reagan over there. Tear down this wall.
Oh my God. Yeah, so I mean, again, I've been working with John Ulrich quite a bit on this, and John hooked us up with a bunch of air fins to throw out there, which
So
is
you guys
great.
did the secret handshake. You guys are all buddies now.
Oh, dude, it's like, yeah, you gotta it's like something with the hat,
Yeah, some secret handshake. Yeah. Well, Heron still hates you, right? Is what I hear.
You
But
know
I'm
what,
good with him
man?
now.
I
Who else
realized that
hates you?
I'm not everybody's flavor Kool-Aid, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is what it is. I don't
He is,
think
he
that.
is he is the Superbike champion, so we got to show him some respect.
I mean, the dude earned the champ. He's gonna rock the one plate, probably, right?
Yeah, he has to. That's the rules.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I know that he was. I remember him saying something about the number is kind of your trademark, and so he would never run the number one, but the rules state you have to run the number one.
Yeah, yeah. You let me raid the number drawer, and so I'm giving away some numbers. You're like, hey,
we
we're
have a
gonna
few
throw
extras.
these away.
Did we hold on to Pridmore's number?
I didn't see Pridmore's number in there.
I think it's in there because we have a bunch of extra numbers from all the people who rode our bikes this year. Past 2 years, what do we have? We had Chavi.
I got the Chavi one. That was pretty fun.
We had Hayes.
Yeah,
and I think he hates you too.
Does he?
I don't know.
I rode with him. I rode with him my birthday weekend, and
CP hates you now.
I don't think CP does. I think his wife does.
I'm pretty sure if his wife hates you, he hates you.
100%, 100%. But no reason. I mean, truthfully, like I wish CP the best of luck. Hope the new ride works out for him. I just kind of pointed out that maybe when you sign with a new team, it'd be better to not take a shit on the old one. So,
it's a really small industry, and you're gonna see the same people in pack. I didn't watch his interview. I didn't hear the comments. A lot of people are like, "Oh man, did you hear what he said?" or something.
Yeah.
I go, I don't really care. It's kind of like, what's the analogy I can use? Like a guy's trying to date a girl, and she turns him down. He's all, she was ugly anyway, and she's a lesbian. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but all the while they're the guy's trying to date that girl nonstop.
Oh man.
But then once it doesn't go their way, it's like, she was terrible. She's awful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty standard issue. So
yeah,
now that we're talking crap for like 5 minutes, last week you had a couple of days of testing at Podium Club in mixed conditions, I would say.
Yeah, the first day was starting to get pretty good, and then the clouds came in, the wind came in, and it started raining, and then we thought we were going to get a clear day the next day, but those clouds just kind of hung overhead, and it was the 2 coldest days of the week, like the month.
Yeah.
We came and we saw the coldness, and then we left.
Yeah, Big John, the track manager there, was like, "Man, you guys should stay tomorrow. It's supposed to be 80." We're like, "What?"
I know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was teasing because the Strack team was there. I was teasing Jessica, Strack's wife, Peter Strack's wife, and I said, "Man," I said, because they were in North Carolina and all the flooding and all that stuff, and then they were in Florida too because they have a house in Florida, and apparently it got It got, demolished by tornadoes or something, or hurricanes. And so I said, man, when you came and you brought all that crap weather with you, she goes, I know I have no luck when it comes to the weather.
Standing there, it reminded me of racing at Willow in January.
Yeah, the rain's not bad. It's just when the wind comes,
yeah,
and everything starts going sideways. And we've seen it at Road America and things like that, awnings blowing over and stuff like that. But it was the wind stopped, and then it was just drizzling off and on. So we had a lot of good time on a track that's drying. So Bobby got a lot of riding in. I mean, Jake didn't really need to ride in the wet because he has a lot of wet time already.
Yeah,
and he's really good in the wet. I think his wet performance has really accelerated the last year or so. And you can see it when our bikes are on the wet. Like, we don't really have an issue with wet riding and wet bikes, wet setup.
Yeah.
But Bobby's always been like, I don't know, he's always been terrible in the wet. Every time he's on the front row or something, it starts raining. I'm like, all right, well, he's not going to be in the game. And that's the first thing you think, right? But I think what happens is these guys are kind of like, oh, I'll just wait till it dries up. I'll wait till it dries. They won't roll out when it's wet. I'll wait till it dries and the track may never dry. Or they just don't get enough. I mean, he's a California guy, right? They don't just get enough wet time.
Right.
And I encourage everyone to ride in the wet as much as possible. And also the teams don't learn anything. So they never make a proper wet setup bike. And it's super hard for the guys to ride those motorcycles. A lot of teams are like, oh, just back off the preload a little bit, back off the clickers, and away you go.
Just turn it into a street bike.
Yeah, there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
There's more to it than that. So, when it comes to riding in the wet, we have no fear of that. And so we put Bobby out, and he's like, oh, man, first. And then he started kind of getting into it. He did a bunch of laps. And it was and one day it was kind of drizzling, drying. And then afterwards, he got a chance to try full wet, which was the next day. It was raining pretty good for the middle of the day, and then it dried up at the end of the second day. So we got some good laps in at the very end.
So I got a comment coming in about this. We had at the test last week, you had the awning for the semi truck, and then off to one side was a couple of awnings for the tire service with Fernando, and then on the other side, a couple of canopies or whatever for the Strack guys.
Yeah.
And the wind came in and kind of pretzeled into oblivion one of the canopy frames, and it was tied down. It was tied down. It was it's one of those. I don't know how many people have driven cross country, but you can see it in Texas. Like, you'll see little twisters off the highway somewhere, and also you get into some burst.
Yeah, and it comes across the highway, and your truck gets rocked around, your car gets rocked around, same kind of thing. It just kind of hit right about where that canopy was, and just took it and just ripped it out of there and destroyed it and went away.
Yeah, but Trevor's asking, like, how much wind can the awning of the rig take before it flips? Because he remembers at Road America when Suzuki had one catapult.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting story, because I think they had buckets holding down the awning, and it grabbed and it did a trebuchet with one of the buckets, and it launched it, and it went through the Jordan awning, and apparently they had a popcorn machine or something like that. The Jordan guys had all the cool setup, that popcorn machine, and they had all their hospitality there, and the bucket came down, and Pridmore apparently was standing as hospitality. And the thing came down right next to him and just destroyed the table right next. I mean, if the thing would have hit him on the head, it probably would have killed him.
Oh, man.
It would have destroyed him, a big bucket full of whatever, water or something. You can imagine how much that thing weighs, 5-gallon bucket. It just went flying through the air. And I remember the Yosh guys also launched one of those quads, the little quads that we see in the pits.
Oh, they had they had the tarp tied to the quad?
Yeah, so we try to screw ours in as much as we can, but the tracks really don't like it. At Road America, you can rent concrete blocks and hold the corners of the canopy down, and they have to bring them to you with a forklift because they're that heavy.
Okay.
I mean, think about a boat going through the water, right? How big the sail is.
Yeah.
And think about how big the sail is it's sail material, right?
On the awning.
On the awning, the truck awning. Yeah. And it'll grab it, throw it if you got enough wind going across it. And so you have to be really careful how buckets don't do it for a big awning like that. You might as well put nothing there.
Right.
One time we had VIR, they had this crazy rain and wind come in. It destroyed a bunch of stuff in the pit, and we had to take the rental cars to time the corners.
Oh,
And the
wow.
awnings were like, well, we had, I don't know if you remember that guy, Todd, that was on our team. At the time, he was a big boy. He was probably 300
Okay.
pounds.
Big boy
Him and,
Todd. Okay.
yeah, he's lost a bunch of weight since then. But him and Craig Hinckley, he was another big boy. And they were standing in one corner of the awning, was lifting them off the ground.
Right.
That's how much that stuff, buckets do nothing.
Yeah.
I see people, filling their buckets up with water. I'm like, if you don't, we have these things called hurricane straps that go from the corner down to the semi. So it kind of triangulates the two corners. And if the track doesn't let you screw it down, then you got to use those. Or you get the concrete blocks. It's about the only way you can hold one of those things down in a big wind. But yeah, it can handle probably a good 25, 30 miles an hour before it gets super crazy.
That's, I mean, I've had a lot of experience with tying down canopies from racing at Willow Springs,
Yeah.
And Chuck Walla as well. And, I can remember at Chuck Walla, there was a lot of people were doing the go-kart wheels full of concrete thing.
Yeah.
And one of those microburst things took this dude's canopy with the go-kart wheels, and it trebucheted them over his RV. One put a dent in some dude's brand new truck, and then the other one's like dunk, 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 all the way down by the restrooms at Chuck Walla and knocked over some dude's bike.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's dangerous. I mean, it's, man, you'd be better off without an awning when it's windy like that.
Yeah. Yeah. A
'Cause
lot of times
all you gotta be doing is bring it down.
Yeah. A lot of times
the little pop-ups are terrible.
Yeah, the easy ups, we would choose not to set them up when it was windy like that.
Yeah. The other thing we do is we'll pull down the walls, and that'll kind of change the aerodynamic shape of the awning, so it's got a little less lift. And ties the whole structure together too, from the truck all the way around. You zip down all the walls, so every little bit helps. But, then we have big toolboxes we'll tie down to the corners and things like that when it really gets crazy.
Right. Yeah. So RIP that one canopy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So at this test, I noticed that Jake was doing a lot of testing for tires. Like, I guess, I saw Tony Romo there, and Dale Kiefer was there, and he was like the test mule, basically.
Yeah, kind of bummed about that a little bit, because he ended up doing a lot of laps on stuff that he didn't really know, so we couldn't really get any quality laps of testing with him, which I think he needs for a comeback.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, we were all in the car doing some laps. Remember that?
Yeah.
I said, which one of you guys want to do Dunlop a favor and test tires? Jake's like, I don't care, I'll do it. He kind of jumped on the grenade and went out and just rode those fronts. They had 3 or 4 fronts.
Yeah.
They had to go through, so it ate up a number of sessions, especially since it was wet, somewhat wet. Like we lost all of our sessions with the weather. Like about half the sessions with weather, and then lost kind of the other half to Dunlop testing. For Jake. But Bobby got a chance to ride a lot. He did 130 laps or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the wet and in the dry.
Yeah. Just as always, Bobby's always the first one ready to ride.
Right? He's definitely a bundle of energy, I'll tell you what.
Yeah. I think it's his fro.
Yeah.
He's that fro he's got growing out,
I don't even, I've seen him. I've worked with him in the past, and I never knew he had hair like that. He's always wearing a beanie or a hat or a helmet.
I'm like, he looks like that. His last name is Fong, and he's got that hair.
A fro, yeah.
Yeah.
He's definitely a mixed bag of DNA.
It's that Stockton slap, I guess, right?
Yeah, something. I don't know what that is, but okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I guess you'd have to ask him about that, right? And then, obviously you had Bobby out there in the wet, and then I saw that I was pretty stoked actually to see that you had Will Morton return to the team.
Yeah, Will's going to be Will's now Jake's crew chief.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So Corn Dog, he was having some medical issues towards the end of last year. He was really struggling, but he went and had some surgery. Now he's working with CP over at HSBK on the. That's what I hear. He's going to be. I don't know if he's going to be a crew chief or suspension guy over there, or what he's going to be. So good luck to those guys.
Yeah, I mean, Corn Dog, always a good dude. kind of legend in the sport. Bummed to see that he had those health problems. Hope that works out for him.
Yeah, yeah. So
Seeing
just
him
giving
hobble
Jake.
around the pit was painful to watch.
Yeah, sometimes when a rider gets in the doldrums and he's having his medical, sometimes you need just do a little change up. Yeah, sometimes they go to a different team, they get a different motorcycle, or they change up the crew a bit. So we have the same motorcycle with some tweaks, and obviously Jake's got another year on his agreement with Yamaha, and so we'd like to give him the best shot possible to do a good job this year. So Marshall, our data guy, he's well versed in a lot of stuff, like the dynamics of the bike and things like that, and me as well. So we're going to be more of a group effort on Jake's side, try to make sure that he gets everything he possibly needs to succeed this year, as long as his hand is okay, which it seems to be. He's doing some runs, and asked him how it feels, because it feels like it's getting stronger every day, and didn't really have any effect. Yeah. So at some point, which I told Jake and Bobby, we're going to do some race simulations probably after this MotoAmerica test is coming up, where they both race each other.
Yeah, I was saying that the crew should put it we should get a pool together,
And it won't be like a 5-lapper; it'll be like full distance.
Yeah, like full race distance.
Yeah, full race distance.
100 kilometers, right?
Yeah, whatever it is, 20 some odd laps probably at Podium Club, maybe 21 laps. So a full run, brand new set of tires, ready to rock and roll, just like a normal race, and go. And we'll see who wins.
I got 5 on it.
Yeah. Take bets.
Yeah, I think we should do like a pool in the team.
Yeah, well, we'll get past this MotoAmerica test. I think that'll be we won't be testing tires there. We'll just be running laps on what is our race setup. Right. And we made some improvements to the bike with the chassis. Next is some engine development in March, and then go racing in May. Or April, I mean.
May?
April.
Yeah, I was gonna say April, right?
Yeah. Barber, first round. Barber's a good track for us. We've always done well there, and so we'll see. Obviously, Bovier does really well there,
right?
And it's gonna be interesting because the lineup is pretty interesting in the series. So you have in Superbike you have Bovier, the 2 Boviers. So you have Ezra, as what I hear, is going to be on the second bike with Cameron. Yeah, I think he's going to ride his old bike, and then again, this is all stuff I hear through the grapevine.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, and then so you got the 2 Boviers there, and then you have SDK and Escalante, Richie, on the M4 bikes. What do they call a team now? Is it still a wheel team?
I don't know.
Vision Nexstar.
Team Hammer.
Team Hammer. Okay, so Team Hammer, that's the official name, right?
Right.
Or their business name. So Team Hammer will have Richie and the SDK.
Right. I heard the SDK thing too, man. I was talking to Alex Arango, and I guess it's like he told me as of yesterday it wasn't looking good. Jeremy Toy did as well, a little bit more colorfully.
It wasn't looking good for what?
For signing SDK to their program, the Top Pro thing.
Oh, Top Pro. What's Top Pro doing? I heard they're out.
He's still working on it, but it's looking like they're gonna do the one bike thing, maybe SuperSport.
Oh, really? No Superbike?
Maxi Gerardo thing.
Oh, well, I'm sure hoping they come back to Superbike.
Yeah, they did such a great job.
They did.
I mean, they came out swinging, and the kid
looked
like
they had a lot of success.
He made a bunch of progress on the bike, getting going, and they did all that marketing stuff with the children's hospital and all that. I thought that was so cool. And then I don't know. I mean, I don't want to repeat the colorful stuff I got from Jeremy, but I mean, it's
I don't know. Probably no secret. We tried to sign SDK, and he wanted to stay where he was at with Jeremy. We didn't have room for Jeremy and him, so I don't know if that changed the decision, but it'd been nice to have him, because I think he's an up and comer. I think he learned the Superbike pretty fast. I think he'll be him and Richie, I think, should be really good. I know that MotoAmerica plans on giving some concessions to Suzuki and possibly the Yamaha to get them up to a little bit engine style concessions, to get them a little closer to the Ducati and BMW horsepower wise.
Right.
But horsepower is in everything. We're still concentrating on the chassis quite a bit. Get that bike. The fly in the ointment for us was the hard tires. and of course the injuries, between Cameron's hand and knee and getting sick at a few of the races, throwing up and all that stuff. We got kind of pushed back a bit in our development, and it bums me out a little bit what I hear when someone says, "Oh, the team didn't do a good job at the end of the year," or something like that. We take a lot of what the riders have to say seriously. So from the beginning of the season, all through testing, we would work with the riders and give them everything they needed. If they say, "Oh, I really don't like the way this works, that works, I don't like the feel of this," or whatever, we try really hard to do a countermeasure to make sure that they get exactly what they need. And so starting the season, CP was like, "Man, we're going to kill everyone. This bike's awesome." And then somehow, we got a knee injury and we're throwing up and we're hands not quite there yet and all that kind of stuff. So every team has some bad stuff happen in the motorcycle, I guess you can say. Like we lost a clutch at Laguna, and so after that, it just never seemed to really get any better. The performance wasn't there, and a lot of pointing at the motorcycle. It wasn't that different in the beginning of the season. So it was just interesting, and I think the hard tires really played a big role too. Yeah. So we last couple of tests, I think we made some pretty good headway with the hard rubber. At Podium Club. So we have a pretty good focus after the season was done. We knew what the situation was and kind of cleaned house a little bit and reassess and realign and go forward.
I mean, do you think it's the hard rubber, or do you think it's the hard rubber and the combination between that and all the new grippy, crazy pavement too?
Well, they're hand in hand, right? The hard rubber was because
the bikes worked great on bumpy, fucked up old beater tracks.
on soft rubber, because we were able to make the soft rubber last.
Okay.
And Jake had a lot of confidence on the corner entry and exit with a soft rubber. Now combine that with his hand going to sleep and hard tires that don't like corner entry because the tracks are so abrasive. You have to run the hard tires, and it wasn't just us though. I mean, even the Ducati had front lockup issues with a harder front tire, and BMW had inconsistency on the corner entry. You hear it from their team and their riders, and you saw Cameron Bobier end up on his head a number of times.
Right.
And it just I think nobody really got their head around how to make those hard tires work. And it's something that even in World Superbike with some of the tracks, they have some issues with corner entry grip, with the rear.
Yeah.
And but it kind of became a focal point on our team when the other teams had the same issues. When a guy gets their head around, man, I can't ride the bike because of this, and then they just focus on that nonstop. And then once you get one guy in the truck saying it, and then it kind of pollutes the other guy's thinking too.
Right.
And you end up with a situation where, okay, well, that's the rubber we have. So what's the best you can do? So you end up having to go and do extraordinary stuff to get it to work.
Interesting. But you've been telling me some stuff about triple clamps. What do you got going on with triple clamps?
Oh, so are we switching to SuperSport now? Is that what we're doing?
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
You said to make note of triple clamps, and then I have notes.
Yeah.
I have it listed twice in my notes.
Yeah. Oh, do you? Okay. Yeah. Just to finish up on SuperSport, I'm kind of bummed that HSBK will only have one Superbike this year, as far as I know.
Yeah.
They should have put CP on Superbike, honestly.
Yeah.
I think he would have done a better job than Baz.
I saw CP at the go-kart track. He and his wife both were like talking about the future as well, and so we've kind of heard that story with Xavi Flores before as well. But if everything works out, there could be a Superbike ride for him next year, maybe, so they're kind of banking on that maybe. But also, I guess he's teammates with Riston Grigg.
Oh, another SuperSport bike?
Yeah, Grigg is gonna do the SuperSport bike as well.
Yeah, wasn't it what's the name? So it's kind of an offshoot, right? That I don't know who this Grigg guy is. Who is he?
Steve Grigg's his dad. He raced Formula Extreme back in the day.
Oh, Grigg. Oh, I think that rings a bell.
Privateer effort. I think he had a Fuzzy Raptor. back in the day.
Yeah. I'm
Super
sorry.
fun
Since
guy, Southern as shit,
yeah.
right?
Now I
Yeah,
remember. That's why it kind of rings a bell. I'm like, man,
yeah,
where did I know that
big.
name from?
Yeah,
Long time ago.
yeah,
Long time ago. And but he's been out of the sport for a while. I guess he's bringing this kid up, bringing him back in, kind
yeah,
of thing.
yeah. His kid came out and did new racer school with us a couple years ago, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So
So he's riding a bike in SuperSport,
right,
and CP's riding a bike in SuperSport. And on the track side, you have Skoltz and Davis,
right.
right? And then did Altus already make their announcement?
I
I
don't know
think
if
they
they did
did.
or not. I think they did. No, I think they did.
Yeah,
I
so
saw
they're
some stuff
riding.
on social media today.
Yeah,
Mike
I don't want to
Lewis and Garrett Asani, right?
yeah, I don't want to undermine them, but yeah, so they have a couple of R9s there.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Hayes, I think, is riding for Bryce Prince,
Oh, no kidding.
an R9. Yeah, that's what I hear anyway. I
Hey,
mean,
Bryce
it
has
may
a
not
good
be.
program, man. That
It,
guy's been
it,
he's been putting in some work.
yeah, he's a hard worker, and so I mean, we're here to support any of those guys that need information or whatever. It's
Right.
it's been a little bit weird with the whole homologation with the R6, and we'll get to clamps here in a minute.
Yeah.
I mean R9, because the bike is still kind of being developed in Europe. So as it gets developed, the specifications keep changing a little bit. Like, hey, we need to tweak this, we need to tweak that to make sure that the racing is fun, it's competitive, and it's fair for everyone. And so just recently, it was today or yesterday, Yamaha released the kit manual to the teams,
Okay.
and with that has the specs they should run the engines with and things like that.
Can you talk a little bit about the homologation process, like how that goes, like what goes into allowing parts to be legal? Like how does that work?
Yeah, that's kind of a new thing right now. It's kind of confusing,
Oh,
honestly. Is we've been asking, like, World Supersport's different than MotoAmerica. So World Supersport, the manufacturer, has to homologate the part.
okay.
So like, for instance, Melissa hooked us up with the MB guys in Italy, right?
Yeah.
And she sent them a set of clamps we made for her MB,
Oh, wow.
and they really liked them. They liked the feel. They went faster, all that kind of good stuff, right? And so now they want to place an order with us. So we have to send drawings to MV Italy,
Oh, wow.
and then they have to present those drawings to Ludovic, the tech director, and World Superbike, the World Supersport, and then they have to go through the homologation process like that. So the parts have to go through the factory. They can't be sold like individually. So you can't be a clamp manufacturer, whoever you are, name one, doesn't matter, and just go, oh, I want to run this clamp. It doesn't work that way in World Supersport. It has to be one specification by the factory. They call it a chassis kit.
Oh,
And so the
wow.
chassis kit has to include or can include triple clamps, rake inserts, stuff that adjusts the angle of the fork, and all the bearings and hardware, whatever is required to install the thing, along with a linkage, and that all has to be €1,000 cap.
Wow.
So that's pretty low. So I think they're expecting the factories to kind of subsidize some of that.
Okay.
So the problem with that is that whenever that happens, the factories don't want to make anything extra for anybody because it costs them money. It's kind of like the electronics in World Superbike. You're supposed to be like €8,000 cap, but the things cost the factories like €10,000.
Right.
Or Morelli and whatever else they have as part of the kit. They might be able to negotiate something with Morelli where they break even, but at the end, it's probably going to cost them something. They probably won't make anything, or we have to eat it on our end, try to make it all under that price cap. For us, we already sell our clamps for under. So €1,000 was like $1,100, $1,200. So our clamps are already under that price, so no big deal. Just have to be able to fit in somehow in the pricing the rake inserts and the linkage for that MV, let's say.
Okay.
So, but the factories come back and say, well, we'll sell the link. It comes off another bike or whatever for $1. Buy our stuff and put it on the homologation. So with the MotoAmerica is a little different. We present the drawings and price list to MotoAmerica, so any aftermarket manufacturer can homologate a clamp or a linkage or a swing arm pivot kit for SuperSport. In SuperBike, you don't have to homologate it.
I'm sorry, I gotta stop for just 1 second. I'll be right back. Sorry.
I guess we'll just sit here and wait for Dustin to do his business. I'm going to go back to looking for, timeshares in Gaza. I think that's a pretty good place to start. I hear it's a rough neighborhood, but they're cleaning it up a bit. And beachfront property, pretty good. You know, have to dodge a few bullets and bombs. Well, that's pretty good. Are you done yet, Dustin? Hilarious. Can I have a conversation with myself now? Wish I asked myself. So, what about these clamps for MotoAmerica? Yeah, so here we go. Here's a clamp right here. So this is a triple clamp, and this is only the top part. And what we have is like this insert that goes in here, like so. And you see how this insert's kind of zeroed, right about there. So what you can do is you can change that with a different one that looks like this.
Had to be done.
Okay, so now I'm talking to myself. I asked myself, what are these clamps all about?
Had to be done.
Yeah. So anyway, so with this, you see there's an offset change.
Yeah.
And what that does, it changes the trail on the bike. And that's something we've talked about before.
Yeah, it's all about the cups.
Yes, cups. And these are terrible cups. They don't hold any water. They do cup something. They cup the stem, I guess. And anyway, we call them an insert because it inserts into the clamp. And so you're able to change the offset and change how much trail the bike has. And sometimes it has a positive effect in how much grip or turning you get. And sometimes it has a negative effect, like how much effort or low effort or nervousness in something you can screw up. Yeah. So like, for instance, the World SuperSport guys that just wanted 2 inserts. And we have basically, you know, like here's a, what is this thing? A 3, right? You can see where the hole is. And then you go all the way to a 5 or 6 like this. And you can see how much that changes your offset this way. Or you can put it in the other way. And whenever you offer little things that people get wrong. So this will give you less trail. But if you have a bike with a raked out front end, then you may need less trail so the guy can actually manage it. So then you get into the balance of the bike. Let's say whenever you change a rake, now you're either putting mass on the front tire or taking mass off the front tire. So these kinds of tools is what they're going to allow in World SuperSport and MotoAmerica this year. And then this is like the whole kit. Oops, should I back up somewhere over here?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
yeah, I like the beefiness of the lower triple clamp too.
Well, there's a reason for the design stuff, right? And a lot of it's feel because, and yeah, so for instance, for some of these customer stuff, we have like adjustable steering stops that go in here, like these things here. Yeah. And the stem may have some rake inserts. It also changes the rake. And then, you know, the bottom clamp has got some cutouts and shapes in there, you know, a little thin in certain spots, you know, here and there, to allow a little bit of feel, a little bit of flex. And all that stuff developed kind of over the years with the various riders we worked with. And yeah, the feel is super important. That's one of the things we were working on with our SuperBike, to get the guys to get in the corner. We can affect the balance of the bike by changing rake and changing different things on the bike. And then they may get a sensation they don't like. So then we'll have to play around with the offset and various settings. And that was one of the things that the 2 complaints we had last year on our bike was at the end of the year was they didn't like the sensation they were feeling of the front, even though it was something we started the year with, which surprisingly. Like how did that get to where it was? You know, so the setting that we had at Atlanta where Jake was racing with Camp Bovier and he won 1, lost 1. Remember that? But he was right there at the front with those guys, you know, the whole race. And one that works well in the wet and all these things. And then at the end of the year, it was, I don't like the feeling of it. So, okay, you know, it's what it is. But we worked on that quite a bit, actually, with these types of settings like we talked about here. And it's amazing, actually, it really is, because we made a 2 millimeter change. So basically, move this thing just 2 millimeters. Okay, so it's just, if you look at 2 millimeters, it's like that. So you make that change, and the guy goes, "Wow, that feels way better. Like that was a big change." So you can imagine for guys in SuperSport that can't make their bike competitive, they might be able now to make the thing turn and do the things they want. Like you saw on the R6. R6 is a pretty good platform, right? It's pretty well proven, and you could see how Skoltz was able to ride inside, outside anybody. That thing, right? The front feel he had, the corner entry, all that. And that came with a lot of balance to the bike and fork springs and oil levels and all those things you would do in a SuperSport bike. So now, if you have, let's say, a rear end that you like, but it upsets the front because the balance isn't right, you can come back and you can change some of this stuff in SuperSport and be able to change that and give the guy the feel he wants.
Is it just me, or does it seem like SuperSport is becoming like a miniature superbike?
Yeah, I don't know, because it's still not. It's a spec bike. All the performance is controlled through an ECU, where they look at the acceleration of the bike, and they go, okay, well, this bike we want to accelerate exactly like that bike next to it. And so I'm not a big fan of spec racing. I'm more about development and racing and being able to have the best team win type deal. Engineering some stuff, fancy stuff, whatever. But I guess the engineering talent just isn't there in motorcycle racing. So if they at least not at our level, and World Superbike it is, and MotoGP for sure, right? So all the guys that have all that capability usually float to the top, and everybody else sinks to the bottom.
Right.
So in our series, I guess, in World Supersport 2, they're trying to bring all these different size motorcycles to be competitive with each other.
Right.
And so the FIM is kind of has their little dyno testing, and they go, yep, this is the mapping we want to give you to make it just like XYZ motorcycle. And in the past, the R6 was kind of the baseline. It didn't have was uncorked, basically.
Right.
So it had almost unlimited. So now they try to dumb down all the other bikes to make it perform like the R6.
Right.
And so is it like Superbike? I think they're trying to give the chassis enough leeway to where they'll be competitive. It isn't a chassis question.
Okay.
Where the guy goes, I don't know, I can't carve around like that bike does. So you need to slow it down more. So you hear a lot of this stuff. And I don't like the politicking either. I like one set of rules that no one can complain about. You go, well, it's the same rules for everyone.
Right.
But now, since they can do this with a keyboard and take away power from one guy to the other, they hold the key to the power.
Right.
So there's a lot of shenanigans as far as people sandbagging and people crying foul and my bike's not fast enough. I mean, it's like going to street races. Give me a head start. My bike,
give me one car.
My car's slow. And then they have nitrous.
Yeah. Okay.
And they take you $20 or $100 or whatever they race for. Back then it was like $20.
Yeah. So that's $100 today, right? $200.
Probably $1,000 minimum to play. I bet.
Yeah, I see some of those street race guys. They're making crazy money on those races sometimes.
Yeah, in my childhood, I remember going to the street races in South Central Los Angeles. That was interesting.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, where the LAPD cop, like we're standing on a corner, me and this other guy, and the LAPD guys roll up, and they're like, "What are you guys doing here?" Oh, hanging out, doing nothing. They're like, "Why don't you hop in your car and leave unless you want to get killed?" They roll up the window and leave.
Oh man.
Yeah. For some of your viewers, they may not know how South Central is. If they don't know, they should watch Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, I was gonna say Boys in the Hood, but
any of those.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. The podcast always goes certain ways, and you never know which way it's gonna go. South Central.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Gaza.
Yes. Gaza. They find housing in Gaza. I'm gonna be ahead of the line. So anyway, Slavko from Akrapovic was here, And talking about a lot of cool stories that dude has. He's been in the business for so long. So he's kind of like one of the four guys between Akrapovic himself, Slavko, and a couple other guys. They were at the start of Akrapovic years and years ago, whatever it was, 25, 30 years ago, you know. So it's grown to be quite the business, 1,500 employees or something. And so he had a lot of interesting stories about back in the day, you know.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
I've got some questions here from people.
Yeah.
I think August Nord, I think she was wanting to know what the difference is between the MT-09 and the R9 chassis. I think the frame's completely different, isn't
it?
The
frame's completely different. Engine placement. I think the forks are different. I think the swing arm is different too. But the kitted bike, let's say the kitted bike, they'll race in SuperSport, will have a tracer swing arm. So a little bit longer than the MT-09 or the R9 swing arm.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, again, changing the balance of the bike, and go with that. We need to make a linkage. We'll make one. I don't know of anyone racing the R9 at Daytona. You know, it's just not. It's a little bit late.
Yeah.
Prepare a full-blown endurance effort. So I think the first time you'll see the bike race is a Barber, and so we're preparing a linkage for it that we'll release next month. You know, and so the guys can have a chance to test it. Probably maybe by the end of this month, actually. And so that's the next one after we get all the clamps. Right now we're rushing through all the homologation paperwork for all the models. So we'll have the Suzuki, the Ducati, the MV, the Kawasaki, the what else is in that class? Yeah, I think even the CBR will have clamps for all of them. The R6, R9. You know, so we'll cover the whole field, and we'll have rake inserts for most of them. The Ducati, I believe, comes with its own inserts in the steering head, so they can use the factory pieces there, I do believe. I'll have to clarify that with tech. And what else? I think that's about it. You know, we'll cover all the bikes. There's only one bike, the Japanese or the Chinese bike, that QJ SRX or whatever the hell I call it, thing that, you know, that QJ bike, Quangjang Motors or something. They race in World SuperSport. Yeah, it's supposed to be. It looks like a copy of just about everything, smashed into one. You know,
like a guy put together a bike from a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Well, the guy looked at a little bit of this and copied it, and then looked at a little bit of that and copied it and made a motorcycle.
Well, I say good luck with that.
Yeah, I don't know anyone racing it in MotoAmerica, but it's on the homologation list, so we're looking through that too to see what bikes are allowed to race in that class. I think the R6 still got a little bit of time to go on it before it gets phased out from no production. I don't think they brought any in this year. I'm not 100% sure. We can't speak for Yamaha. If I do, they get mad at me.
Yeah, I mean, I've got 2 of those R9s coming. We recently signed our Yamaha contract for the TrackDaz program, and I was told probably April, maybe. I think we ordered 3 and we're getting 2. So I'm still stoked. It's like
I think they're already all sold out as far as I know to all the dealers. Doesn't mean they're all leave the floor, but I think they're fairly limited this first go around. But they are pumping them out, and there are some coming, and some engines coming for the teams that are racing it. Also, as far as that kit, I don't know if I mentioned it, but as far as the kit goes, it's only available to MotoAmerica racers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so
if you're a club racer guy, that kit's not available.
Well, there'll be some aftermarket stuff that's similar. Like there's an intake system for it. There's some. Again, I might be speaking out of turn, but as far as homologation goes, there's some camshaft springs, pistons, just various different things that they added to it to make it to where they can make it fast enough to where they can control the power. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
So you need more than you need. That way, MotoAmerica or FIM can dumb it down to the level they want to make everybody equal.
Yeah, Cody Krager is like, I wonder if we're gonna get an R9M or an R9 SP.
I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, you never know with Yamaha, man. They,
Yeah, next year might have an R9 with carbon fiber bodywork.
Yeah.
It might be on the drawing board. They don't tell me, and I don't ask because I'm afraid.
Yeah. And then I got a question here. Smith Shot Racing has asked us twice, so I'm gonna just address it.
Okay.
He's asking if I'm hosting the Laguna Track Day Labor Day weekend. Friday, Saturday of Labor Day weekend. I guess the racetrack I think they wanted a day off for the holiday.
Oh,
So yeah, I think we got the Friday, Saturday of that Labor Day weekend at Laguna Seca, and it's 103 decibels.
did we get the VIR thing squared away?
We're still working on it, man. Like the VIR is my insurance guy was like, dude, we by the way, what Richard's talking about is we're working on a collab here of possibly doing a attack performance / track days event.
A pro track days.
The MotoAmerica track day, if you will, at VIR. And we're jumping through some hoops. There's a few different things that my insurance guy was like, this is kind of weird that they're asking this, but we're working on it. So that's where we're at with that. I guess they want like a per participant insurance of like 3 times as much as Laguna asks for.
Wow.
Laguna is the only other track I deal with that requires participant insurance.
Right, right.
Yeah. So it's like that. And then there's VIR also was kind of asking for a workman's comp thing. Like, dude, I don't have workman's comp, dude. Like, what are you talking about? So
yeah. A few things to jump through.
Yeah, like inside baseball with the track day world. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have employees though.
No, I don't have any employees.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of strange.
Yeah.
Right?
Isn't that fun?
Yeah. I remember people saying they were difficult, but those other track days that go there somehow get it done, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sure we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll figure it out. Also, I've got some comments in here from a customer of yours. You guys, actually, Joseph built his R1 a few years back. I haven't seen this dude in a while. Mark Johnson. Joseph built a pretty healthy, stout, if you will, R1M for him. And then I don't know, he went through some personal stuff, and I haven't seen him in a while. But he says he's asking if you still have any of those 1.5 millimeter inserts. And he said he went 3 millimeters the wrong way because he installed it wrong the first time or something. I don't know. I don't know if he was reading the directions in the mirror. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, some of the race stuff doesn't really have directions. You have to understand which way to install stuff. Like you're going to be raked out. I think he's talking about rake inserts, right? 1.5 degree, not millimeter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know
millimeter, but I'm guessing that's what he meant. Yeah.
I remember something. Joseph telling me something about somebody installing one backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that might have been. And so
I wonder how that worked.
Probably not great.
Yeah. Okay.
We probably have some. I'm sure we have it.
We should do that. I'll ride whatever you put in there backwards, and then I'll tell you what I think of it after.
Yeah. Problem with that is we may end up, some bodywork that's scraped up.
Oh, damn it. Yeah, that's that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, the feeling is all wrong.
He said it was him who installed it backwards, and it was horrible. And he put horrible in all caps. So.
Yes, I'm sure he's yelling at us.
Yeah. So Mark's a good dude. I hope to see him back out at the track. I don't know if he's still in SoCal or what, but he was asking if you still drive the Porsche, which is the easy answer, right?
I've had that thing forever. I'm never going to sell it. I'm going to hand it down to the generations like a pet parrot.
That's so your Porsche is your pet parrot?
Yeah. It pretends it's a Ferrari every now and then, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, if you say so.
Yeah. It gets around okay. But I'll keep it.
Hyperdyne 15 says he's seeing some of the teams going back to the linear steering stabilizers versus the top mount. Does one mounting style have advantages over the other?
You're talking about so he's talking about the top mount. You mean like the dirt bike ones?
Is that what you call those? The dirt
Yeah,
bike?
they're dirt bike ones. Scott, I mean, it was I think Scott made those at first for dirt bikes that went on top with one of the knobs on
Yeah.
them, and then
Yeah,
and
GPRs.
then and then those other guys picked it up, and it was some little valve that's inside. You could spin it all the way around from, and then the problem with them was some of them didn't have a stop on it, so you can go all the way around, and all of a sudden it went from full soft to full hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because they have different. Yeah, so I don't. Nobody in professional racing uses those things.
Nobody in professional races uses that top mount thing.
Not, I've never seen any GP bike or World Superbike or World SuperSport or Moto2, Moto3, whatever. AMA Superbike use those things.
Yeah, I mean, we had those on our when we first got our deal with Yamaha, like in 2008. We had GPR stabilizers for a couple years, and you know, the one thing that we had with those things is they leaked.
Well, they have that pin that comes up through like the gas tank mount or something, and then they had a slidey piece that went. Yeah, stick with a normal damper that comes.
The Öhlins damper.
The Öhlins standard tube damper.
Right.
Those things are the best. That doesn't mean they're without flaw. If you crash them, you could loosen them up inside. Then you get.
I saw one in the rig that had a kind of a hook mark. Yeah, the rod was.
Yeah, that might have been one of the ones CP did in at Mid Ohio when he broke 2 bikes in half.
Right.
In 2 days, cost $200,000.
Sorry to open up that wound.
It only cost $200,000. It was no big deal.
Wow, dude. Yeah, Trevor says the Honda uses a radial mounted damper.
Yeah, I remember that. They had but those things had a little arm. They had a little arm on them. And so I think they were a little bit better than just the ones that had the little slidey shaft thingy on them. You know, so they had like a little tiny link.
And August Nord says she's a professional racer and she uses one. So, and she put professional racer in quotes also.
Yeah, was it all cap locks? You know,
no, it wasn't. She didn't
yelling at us.
She wasn't yelling. She was laughing.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
I remember.
Cody Krager has a funny comment, and I'm gonna go ahead and just say no here, but he says we need to see Dustin on an Attack Performance Stock 1000 R1 for like a one-off wild card. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like almost 50, man. It's not happening. I'm not doing it. I don't even race anymore.
That's kind of like me saying I'm going to do Formula 40, and then that goes 10 years go by. I'm like, I'm going to do Formula 50.
Yeah.
Do they have a Formula 60?
Yeah. And then he's congratulating on getting Bobby Fong as our new rider, and he wants to know who were mentioned as possible riders besides Fong. Well, you mentioned earlier it was SDK was on a list.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So we're talking to. I mean, it's no secret, really. It could be a secret. We were talking to Cameron Bobier.
Yeah,
and that didn't work out. And then it was SDK, Fong, Skoltz was on the list. I mean, there's just a bunch of guys on the list, and we're just kind of feeling out what
suspects.
Figuring out who's going to be the best. There was a few unusual suspects in there too, but a lot of the front runners. But the Skoltz was kind of important to. I mean, hindsight now, like Peter Strack's like, oh, we would have been fine with you guys taking him, but it was kind of important for Yamaha to keep that #1 plate over on the SuperSport side. You know, so they did such a hard job doing it. You know, like he wouldn't even get a chance to use #1 plate in Superbike.
Yeah. Trevor Watson, he says it would be cool to have a quote feeder team like the factory team in Stock 1000. You know, kind of like how Arion was to Honda, how you guys were to Cowie and Suzuki at some point. Would you say that Strack is sort of that for Yamaha now?
Well, I know that Tom was real fond of Davis, and would like to see that. Would like to see him go forward and be part of that. Problem is, like a lot of these SuperSport guys that are up front aren't kids. You know, you got Skoltz, you got PJ, you got now CP. You know, these guys aren't kids anymore.
Right.
So a feeder team, I mean, that structure doesn't really exist anymore, unfortunately. But MotoAmerica is bringing in that the junior class with those. What are those bikes they're bringing in?
Kramer or something.
Kramer, yeah, those Kramer bikes. So it'd be interesting to see what they have there. Some and I hear, like, I don't want again get ahead of myself or get ahead of whatever program somebody's got going on, but I hear a number of different manufacturers will paint them up like their colors.
Oh,
and so that's what I hear. Now, who's actually
like that Yamaha and Moto 2?
Does Yamaha have are they in Moto 2?
Well, I mean, it's a Triumph engine, right?
But, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's
or like KTM.
Yeah, it's a
they have
Blue
a Moto 2
Crew team, but yeah, it's the rider has Yamaha all over him, but
yeah. So similar thing. Where you're going to have some manufacturers with their colors and leathers and things like that racing the Kramers. I don't know how strong the efforts are going to be. So I heard some buzz about that. So that should be interesting to watch. And that actually may be a feeder team to SuperSport and Superbike, let's say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Cody is saying it's like M4 and Graves used to be, right? Progress through the range.
Yeah, I mean that was always kind of the concept. With Kawasaki, they kind of threw us their leftovers. I don't know how else to put it, but there was no real feeder system there. I think it was a way for them to increase the racing budget and kind of throw us some bones and keep a bunch for their Superbike team.
Wow,
that's what I remember Kawasaki like. Suzuki was more of a feeder team because Ben Spies came through us.
Right.
So you got to run off again, man. What's wrong with you?
No, I'm like my drawer opened again.
Your drawers are open?
I have this open, I have this drawer that like folds down and opens up, and I'm like, what the fuck? So.
I hate those kinds of drawers. Anyway, so so Spies came through us, right? And then he went to Yosh, and then he went to the Yamaha World Superbike, and then he went to MotoGP. So that was the progression you'd like to see, but I haven't seen anything like that recently.
Yeah,
I might be wrong. Yeah.
Recent history, anyway, it hasn't been like that, But
there's a few kids
when I started paying attention, I could, I just had him on the show like a month ago or whatever. But like John Hopkins, right?
Yeah,
that guy came up through the bottom, riding a 250 whatever at Willow, and then next thing you know, he's riding a 500 two-stroke at Willow. I mean, at MotoGP, right? Willow to MotoGP in not very long. That's kind of unheard of now.
Yeah, Rocco's on our list too, actually.
Yeah,
but the at the end we wanted to get somebody on the bike that can perform right now.
Yeah,
because we talked about all kinds of different scenarios, and we just needed two strong riders.
Yeah, I was telling Mark Gagne was checking in at the test, like how's Jake going? And I always send him pictures and stuff like that. But I was telling him, I was like, dude, it seems like we've got a couple of lunatics on the team now. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. No, Jake seemed like he wasn't really struggling. He just kind of the tire test thing. I'm not a fan of that. I mean, and it's good to do some work for Dunlop every now and then, and we don't mind doing it. But it ate up so much of our time on that side.
Yeah.
Just running through rubber instead of really getting the job done. So we're done with that for the season. No more tire testing for us. We're going to just concentrate on Jake doing laps at a competitive pace, and same with Bobby. Bobby didn't test any rubber, and so we made some good forward progress. And at the end, Jake hopped on Bobby's bike and did some laps on that, and he really liked the direction we went. So it's kind of funny because when Corn Dog's on the team, he would kind of explain the whole process of the riders and what the thing's going to do and what these different things feel like and all those kinds of things. And I'm kind of the opposite. I'll just say we made a change up front, go out there and tell me what it feels like.
Right.
Yeah, because what happens is you end up tainting the guy's thought process. He goes out and he starts focusing on that thing he's supposed to feel. And at the end, he doesn't get a broad picture of what the bike was like. He just gets yeah, that thing was like this. Where's the lap time? Oh, I was concentrating on that thing. I didn't want you to concentrate on that thing. I wanted to go do a lap time naturally and tell me what were the positives and negatives.
Right.
And then we confirm with data on that. So it's a little bit different approach. I've always done that kind of with CP and Heron and some of the other guys that I worked with. You tell them a little bit of stuff, but you don't tell them everything, and then it keeps them from getting their head all spun around on the details. Just ride the bike. Yeah, it becomes difficult when you have older, more established riders when they really want to be the engineers. Like Chavi was a test rider, so he really wanted to know.
Tony as well, right?
Tony was the same way. He really wanted to be involved in every little aspect of what was happening to the motorcycle. And sometimes he would try to pull back and go, "Well, just do what you think." And then, of course, he would try to stick his 2 cents back in there.
Right.
And I think in some sense, and Melandri was the same way, and there's a number of riders that go down that path, and they become test riders. At the end, they become test riders because they're just too involved in it instead of just putting their head down and just doing the laps.
Or in Melandri's case, he became a DJ.
Is that what he did?
That's he's a DJ.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is he really?
Yeah. He's like
he's a funny guy, but he pissed off a lot of people in the paddock as far as the backstory,
Yeah.
Like he was.
I don't know about the backstory. I just know the guy. Like I've been kind of keeping in touch with him since he turned us down. He used us
for the ride.
Pump up his numbers to get it, do his own thing.
Yeah. Kind of a blessing in disguise, right?
Yeah, totally. Because we had that year with JD.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. JD was another rider that you didn't really have to tell a whole lot. He just went out and rode hard.
Yeah.
As long as you kind of knew what he wanted. I mean, I like working with JD, and I think he's. Oh yeah, so we have another Superbike. I think the Honda guys are going to have something right with the what's the name of that team anyway? With Mark Young. I don't know what their official
I don't
name
know.
is.
Trevor Watson's in the comments. He could probably tell us.
Yeah, I don't know what their official name is, but they'll have a Superbike, and JD's going to be on that team. But I think he's going to be on Superstock.
Stock 1000, yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be cool too. There'll be 2 more bikes there. So I think the field's starting to come together. A bummer about the top.
Real Steel. That's what
Real Steel? No, it was something else. Steel. They're.
That's what he's saying. It's Real Steel Honda. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah. It's that company that built steel buildings.
Oh
yeah.
It's those guys.
Yeah, they're sponsoring that team, and they're sponsoring the class, right?
Yeah, well, he says it's Real Steel Southern Honda Power Sports.
Okay, well, cool. Well, I'm glad they put that thing together, though.
Yeah, I think so.
Because that's one
Steel
more.
Commander. That's what
Steel Commander. That's what it is. Steel Commander. Yeah, that dude was pretty cool. The Steel Commander owner. Yeah. He had a bunch of work going on all over the place. He was like I said, metal building guy. I met him. He's a nice guy. Seemed like so the Tyler guy. You'll have it there too. So it's all starting to come together.
Okay.
And SuperSport should be good. Superbike's going to be pretty interesting. I think it's going to be more competitive again this year, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like SuperSport too. I mean, both the premier classes in MotoAmerica, SuperSport and Superbike, look like they're going to be night fights.
Yeah, I mean the same characters from last year, the PJ and Skoltz and CP. Now he's going to be in there.
I mean, even Corey Alexander. Right,
Corey Alexander, yeah, he's fast. There's just a bunch of guys in there that can do really well. But for sure, there's going to be probably 3 guys that can win at any particular occasion.
Right.
It all depends on how some of these bikes come around. Sometimes you give guys more adjustment, it doesn't work out as well. Than sticking with the basics. So that's one of the things that is always a wild card. Like, okay, we gave them clamps and links and all those things. Is the bike going to be actually better, or is it possible that they're going to screw themselves into the ground with it, all that info?
Yeah, I mean, the cool thing is about the level of competition, the way it is, and truthfully, again, I'm always going to root for our team, right? I'm going to be a Yamaha guy, like I bleed blue, right? But I think it's cool to show up and not know who's going to win, and right now that's where it's at. You don't know who's going to win. So I think it makes it more interesting. When you say,
Yeah, no, that absolutely. Even in Superbike, I think the last year was interesting because there was a bunch of different winners, and even CP had a shot at the championship early on.
right?
And he was in there. He was running around the top three,
Yeah,
and Bobby had a shot at the championship, and they kind of went sideways. The ADR guys, too bad about them too. They're not going to be back. I think Dave might be involved with his track people. You know, his truck. You know, I think he's going to be
yeah,
towing their stuff around and working out of that. And the track guys will be working out of that. And Peter seems like a great guy.
yeah.
You know, so we really want to support them 100%.
Dude, that team is some Chick-fil-A eating. Like those guys, everywhere they go, they're eating Chick-fil-A, man.
Yeah, we go to Mexican restaurants a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's the Fernando influence.
Right, right.
We go, and then we have lots of steak, and that's
Yeah.
the one S influence. But he eats steak even if he goes to a Mexican restaurant. He's getting the carne asada.
Oh, 100%. Well, it's like Marshall ordering a chicken, right?
You mean the shredded chicken
Shredded
with cheese?
chickens. Yeah. Mhm.
Taco with cheese?
Mhm.
No, he had albondiga soup last time, and I
yeah.
was like, "Oh shit, you changed what you eat." But a quesadilla, chicken quesadilla. Like,
Oh,
how
100%.
mild is that?
100%.
But he's from Nova Scotia, man. He's like almost next door neighbors of Greenland.
So Trevor's got a couple of questions too. He's like, when you make a change, does it take a couple of laps to come in before it really takes effect? Like, are you ever, I made this change, it should really pay off by lap 7 kind of deal?
No,
It's like immediate, right?
no. I mean, when Heron was on the bike, he'd roll out pit lane and he'd come back and go, "I don't like it."
Oh,
If he wasn't used to something, he wouldn't even do a lap.
oh,
He'd be out back in.
Hmm.
Some people are just all about that feel, and if you give them the right feel, and I used to tell the Yosh guys about that because Davy Jones would come over, kind of scratching his head because he was Heron's crew chief over at Yosh, and this is the year after. I think he was 19 when Heron was
Right.
riding their bike. He went from our team to Yosh, and I said, "Dude, all you gotta do is give him something he likes, and once you find that thing he likes, he'll want it there all the time." Now, he might have changed since then. This is years ago, obviously, but some riders are like that. If they have a certain feel, if they don't like it, they just can't do the laps. And other riders will ride around something. Like Cam Bobier was really good at saying stuff like, okay, for instance, he'd say, "Hey, it doesn't really get over this turn 3. There's this little bump and doesn't get over it real good, and it upsets the bike a little bit." And I'd be like, "Okay, let me have a poke at that. I think I can change this, and this. Let me see if we can fix that." And he'd be like, "You know what? Never mind. I'll just ride around it. I don't want to mess up the rest of the track."
okay.
And he would be, a second faster than everybody else or something like that, back in 20. And so it's a little bit different. And then come race time, visor down, they just go for it. Other guys can't get that out of their head. Oh, the bike sucked the whole time, that kind of thing. So there's racers and there's testers, and the testers are always only going to go so fast.
Right. So you said you have some engine development for March. You want to talk a little bit about that?
No.
A little preview? Nothing?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Nice. Nice.
Well, there's some allocations. Like I said, we're working with MotoAmerica on, and the guys in Yamaha Europe, but they're so busy with the new R9 and their effort in World Superbike that we have to kind of take a little bit of a back seat and just wait. But MotoAmerica is open to us developing some of our own stuff, so we'll be pushing hard on that next month, March.
Cool.
And so we'll see what we come up with. I'm sure we'll come up with a few more little ponies.
Well, we need every pony we got, right?
Yeah. The bike's good. We just have to get the handling back because it's never been the fastest bike in the paddock, but it's always been the most competitive. And so we just need to get that handling back to where we had it.
Yeah.
With the soft tires, and we'll be just fine.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Well, man, I guess I'll try to sort out getting to that next test.
Hey, if you make it, cool. If you don't,
Yeah, whatever.
Maybe CP's wife would kick you in the nuts or something, you know. For
Maybe. I don't think so. I mean, truthfully, like, I don't know. I don't have any beef with them, honestly. Like, of course, when a former writer shits on the team, I'm gonna call that out. That's all.
you know, I
There's a
don't take
lot of
it
things I
personally.
could have said. I chose not to. I was being like super nice, you know?
Yeah, you know,
I
I
thought.
don't take it. I honestly don't take it personally.
Yeah,
This is I'm so used to this. This is the way the sport is.
right.
You know, we kind of had a little bit of fun with Heron. You know, it
Yeah,
was kind of fun.
I mean, and the thing is with Heron too, like truthfully, I don't really have a beef with him either, honestly. Like I don't think about that dude, you know? It is what it is,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Apparently, you know, Chris got mad at us too, Ulrich,
Oh, of
because
course.
apparently I made some comment or you made some comment about the magazine being so thin.
It is thin. It's not, I
I
mean,
know.
it's, it's not it's not what it was. It's not the 90s anymore, you know?
Well, yeah, hardly anybody buys printed material anymore. I think we're
Yeah.
talking about that, and then you know, Joseph was talking to him about clamps and this and that, and he brought it up. It's like, oh man, those guys are always shitting
Yeah.
on me, something like that. Dude, I don't know
And
what you're
it's not
talking
just
about.
his magazine. I mean, you look at all of them. I mean, most of them went away, went to digital only, I mean, you know, there's
Cycle News,
most of them are, I don't know.
Cycle News is digital only,
Right,
and a lot of people still advertise it.
right.
And
Yeah,
it's still. I mean, the leadership of Yamaha that waits for that cycle news to come out to see
right.
what they wrote. You know,
Yeah.
so it's still a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's still journalists writing stuff, and motorcycle.com's been online only since the 90s. So,
Yeah. So I mean, bottom line is, if we're not pissing somebody off, we're not doing our job properly.
right. And the thing is, if we're pissing people off, it means they're watching.
Yeah, something like that.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'll go back. You did give me the numbers, before we wrap this thing. Anybody in the chat here that is watching this thing, like, I have some numbers, he's not on the team anymore, but I will give away Cam Peterson's number if you want it. All you got to do is, do mash all the buttons, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff, and send us a message. Send me a message somewhere, whatever way you know how to contact me, and send me your address, and I'll send you a 45 while they last. Or a 34, right? I got a 34 too. So
We had some 33s too, I think, from World
and
Superbike.
I have Jake Gagne knee sliders too, and he took the time to autograph them for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of number ones with 32 in it too. We're still left in our box.
I mean, I'll take all that stuff, and we'll give it all away.
We're saving it for the end of this season, though.
Well, there's that. Yeah. And Martin's Life in the Hangar says he's mashing the buttons right now, so that's good. That's good. Thanks for that.
There you go.
Well, Richard, thanks for giving me your time to talk crap on the internet for an hour.
Even to myself.
Yeah, I took a small break there in the middle. Sorry about that.
I'm gonna do that next time.
Okay. Okay. Well, I usually get it when my guest is like on Taco Bell internet. So.
No, I got it.
Yeah, somebody says a Hayes or Pridmore number would be mint.
Do we have any
Hayes numbers?
43s. We have 43s.
Okay, we have 43s. Do we have number 4s?
Yeah, I think so. They're probably somewhere in the box because all those guys rode our bike. We have every year we get a replacement rider. Seems like maybe this year we won't.
Hope so.
I mean, we had. Man, I don't want to go through the whole list again. It bores me. But every year we get a replacement rider. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna let you get back to work or commuting home, and I guess I'll catch you on the next one, man.
Sounds good. Later.
All right, dude.